Friday the 13th Part 2. Boy, am I excited. Friday the 13th Part 2 takes place, I believe, a year or maybe a few months, I'm not entirely sure, after Friday the 13th Part 1, where this is the film where we're introduced to the infamous killer of the whole franchise, Jason Voorhees. In this movie, he doesn't have the iconic hockey mask. He's actually running around with a potato sack over his head. Fun fact, I met the actor who played Jason Voorhees in this movie. He mainly did like all of the physical parts of the movie and everything. He's a really awesome and swell guy. I got a picture with him. I got my booklet signed by him as well, which I was really very happy about. Honestly, horror actors are some of the nicest people on earth. It's very strange. Anyway, we start off the movie with a little child singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider, where I assume Pennywise is gonna pop up out of a sewer, but no, it's just Jason. Never mind, we're all good. We're introduced to our heroine of the first movie, Alice, and she's honestly not in the movie for that long. She gets killed off very easily after seeing Jason's mother's head in the refrigerator, and Jason sneaks up behind her and stabs her in the head. Once again, this movie's not really anything that, like, special compared to the first one. It's honestly very much the same plot, the same setup, and all that fun jazz. We're introduced to all of our cliched, stereotypical teen characters who get knocked off one by one. We're introduced to our final girl, whose name is Jeannie, and also her boyfriend Paul. And we basically just get to know the characters a little bit, and I mean, they're still very two-dimensional as ever, but I mean, some of them do have like a little bit of nice personality to them. Some of them are a little bit nice. Like, for example, there's this one guy in a wheelchair where you find out why he got in a wheelchair, and he's a really nice guy and everything. And, well, there's this really one funny scene in the movie which it makes me laugh every time I see it.
Want to take me on?
Sure. Have a seat.
I only want your fingers.
What?
Take your pick.
Hey.
They're Ted's. It's okay with him.
Football and hockey. Which one do you prefer?
The one with the puck.
You mean hockey? What do you want to play for?
Position.
She wants to have sex with you! Like, seriously, how is this guy not picking up any of her freaking signals? I mean, never mind signals, she's basically slapping him in the face. It's very obvious that she wants to do him. What does this guy need? Does he need freaking lights to guide him to the bedroom? Anyway, eventually all these teens are killed, and honestly, some of the kills are pretty dang cool. There's this one couple who is having sex, and basically Jason winds up shish kebabbing them with a spear. And this part I'm a little bit sad about. He winds up killing the guy in the wheelchair by basically inserting a machete into his face. And then Jason sets everything up for when our heroes come back. Paul and Jason wind up getting into a scuttle. Jeannie thinks that he's dead.
Paul, answer me!
And this is when basically a whole big fight goes down. You know, she's trying to escape from Jason. Jason keeps basically breaking down a whole bunch of doors, windows, everything, trying to kill her. And I actually felt really bad for the actor who played Jason in this movie, because he was a bit more of a professional stuntman, and Alice wasn't. So, whenever she hits him in this movie, she's actually legitimately hitting him. There's one scene when she actually kicks him in the balls. Like, holy cow! Calm down, girl! Alice winds up escaping, and she winds up finding a cottage in the woods. This is actually the house of Jason Voorhees, which is arguably probably worse. So Jeannie winds up locking herself in a room so that way Jason won't get to her, where she notices that the dead bodies of some of her friends are huddled around this altar to the head of Jason's mother, and her sweater. Jeannie gets the bright idea to put on Jason's mother's sweater to confuse him, and how is that going to work? Jason knows what his mother looks like.
Jason!
It's all done, Jason. You've done your job well, and Mommy is pleased. That's a good boy.
Wow, it actually worked. I was actually not expecting that. That's very strange. How did this work? I mean, don't get me wrong, Jason is supposed to be a little bit dumb, I guess, but how does he think that his mother is back to life and looks younger? To be honest, this scene is a little bit sad for Jason in some ways. You do feel a little bit sorry for him because, I mean, he's still a child, granted a very murderous child, but he really does miss and love his mother. So it is a little bit sad that he's actually, like, reminiscing and hoping that this really is his mother back from the dead. But he takes a peek behind Jeannie, who's about to basically put a machete through him, and he notices that his mother's head is still on the altar, which means, oh my gosh, you're not my mother! Paul shows up and doesn't save the day because, well, he's awful at saving the day. And Jeannie finally shoves the machete through Jason. Anyway, Jeannie and Paul wind up escaping, and they wind up going back to one of the cabins. When, holy crap again! So obviously Jason's still very much alive, and he winds up jumping through the window and grabbing Jeannie. Although, we then cut to this part.
Paul? Paul? Where's Paul?
So, Jeannie's still alive, but Paul's not? Okay, I mean, I guess. Sure. Anyway, that's where the movie ends. Jeannie's carried off in an ambulance, and we have a nice little zoom in on Jason's mother's head, and that's where the movie ends. So, how's Friday the 13th Part 2? Well, it's okay. This is actually the movie that introduced me to the franchise as a whole, and it is pretty good for what it is. I honestly think Jason's far more scarier with the potato sack over his head than the hockey mask, because I think in the hockey mask he's just cool. The characters are not that interesting. It's almost a complete rehash of the first one, except for the fact instead of the killer being Pamela Voorhees, it's now Jason Voorhees. Well, that movie's all over and done with, but now we're off to part 3, which is